Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this morning, joining us today for this session that we put together, a conversation about how to inspire generosity amongst your colleagues. My name is Allison Montemani Ozaki, and I am one of the development officers on the annual giving team here at United Way Niagara. With me on the call today are some of our campaign staff. We have Chelsea, who will be watching the chat and helping with any technical issues. We also have Amanda, Jill, and Renata here on the call as well. So you should see some familiar faces here. Just to let everyone know who is joining in, we are recording the session today to share with those who couldn't make it to the live webinar. We will be posting this on our website so everyone can take a look at it a little later on. So before we get started with our conversation today, I wanted to start with a land acknowledgement. United Way is honored to acknowledge that Niagara is situated on lands and waters protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Covenant and by diverse treaties. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hedewonderang, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. United Way Niagara stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live, share, work, and gather. So just to get into the webinar here. So last year we sent out a survey asking what kind of topics would be most helpful to you in your roles and as campaign ambassadors. And one particular response really stood out, which was trying to understand how to get colleagues interested in the United Way campaign. So we've taken that feedback and arranged this interview today to get some answers from someone who's been doing this for a number of years. So today I'm thrilled to introduce you to one of our dedicated campaign ambassadors, Pat Stewart. Pat is currently a resource advisor team lead at the Employment Help Center in Beamsville. And over her 23 years with the organization, she has held several different roles, including job development, job match, administration, bookkeeping, and even as a statistician. So she's clearly someone who has many diverse talents to share with us today. With over 12 years of invaluable experience as a campaign ambassador at her workplace, Pat has worked hard to overcome barriers and challenges to ensure that her campaign reaches the target that she sets. So today we plan to explore her strategies, approaches, and goals in driving a successful campaign. And as I had mentioned previously, we will have some time for questions from the audience. So if you think of anything, please feel free to pop those questions in the chat box. Pat, thank you so much for joining us today and agreeing to take part in this session. We're so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Like you said earlier, it is an honor. Thank you.
Pat, if we can start off, can you just tell us a little bit about your work at Employment Help Center and what kind of drew you to working in social services?
Sure. So my work right now, where I'm hoping to finish off, is I'm a team lead of all of our resource advisors as we have the three locations, Beamsville, Grimsby, and Smithville. We work with clients to assist them in their employment journey, such as job searching, resume and cover letters creation, supports for items that they may need once they start work, if they need gas for their car, especially in these times,
Yeah.
work boots, tools, whatever they may need. We advise them about job searching websites and temp agencies for those that are just looking for some temporary work. We also provide information on all types of community resources that they need, such as we work closely with community care, food bank,
Mhm.
Niagara West Adult Learning Center that provides free computer classes and mentoring one-on-one, mental health supports, legal assistance, medical information, and assisting our newcomers coming in on their employment journey into Canada. And as recently, we have had a lot of asylum seekers and refugee claimants come into this area.
Mhm.
And what got me involved is a business I had worked for closed down, and I went to the Employment Help Center to get a resume. I'd never had a resume. That's many, many years ago. And they asked me if I'd like to do a co-op with them because I was taking some computer classes at in St. Catharines at oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of the place now. Lifetime Learning, thank you.
Mhm.
So they told me, so I worked there every day, volunteered for about 9 months, and then when the new program started with the government, they asked me if I'd like to come on as admin for the job development team. So it's been wonderful. I had taken HR in Niagara College, so
Mhm. So
and
it was a
then
good
once
fit for
I
you.
did that, like I say, my journey began, and I've done many different roles, and I still love my job to this day. So
Wonderful.
great, so grateful to be able to help people.
Hmm. That's great. Um, you don't often hear people staying with the job for so, so long and just loving it till the end.
And
So that's
everybody said,
wonderful
I
to
said,
hear.
no, it's because I'm right up at the front. You're in the mix of everything, and
Mhm.
it's wonderful.
Why do you believe that giving to United Way is important for the community?
It's very important to our community. I feel that the United Way makes the biggest impact in all areas of need. They are one of the most visible and caring agencies of all of our in our communities. So to give to that, you're giving to so much. That's where your impact. It doesn't matter how much you give, the
Mhm.
impact will be made. And I truly, like, heartfully believe that.
That's wonderful to hear. It's really great to hear actually. So what initially motivated you to become involved with United Way as a campaign ambassador?
Well, when I first started and I was a co-op student, my executive director then was Rudy Maswell, who was a man that was known everywhere around every city in our area. He was a firm believer in the United Way. And when you would have your dinners, he would make sure we had a table of 8 staff, and I was invited even as a co-op student.
Mhm.
And from then going forward, I was always invited to go to that dinner. And the impressiveness of how many people attended that you could see how many gave because we all attend because we're all invited because we give. It was humbling. It was amazing. And since then, um, I the businesses, the agencies, every single year, whether it was a one-time donation or a payroll deduction, it was just, we need to give because the
Mhm.
impact is in all our communities. My coworker at that time, Faith Lowe, she started after me, but she was doing some proposals and grants for the United Way, and my job match program was actually funded by the United Way, which is another huge thing. So she needed some help, and I started out just helping her. And then as she became up in management, then I took over. And my motivation to take the role is the impact that we can all give back. We're all lucky to have jobs
Mhm.
that we should be able to give back and make an impact in the community. And it's meaningful. It's very
Mhm.
meaningful.
So it sounds to me like initially leadership was so supportive of United Way, so that sort of like brought you under the
Absolutely.
umbrella, and then you
Absolutely.
kind of saw this that you were part of something really huge, and so
It
that
is
was
huge.
motivating
It
as
is
well.
absolutely massive, and it's just when you attend any of the events that you hold, you just see the impact. You see that all of us that join in and attend all want to be there, and it impacts, like, it does. It's an amazing feeling.
Mhm. So, how do you typically inspire and motivate your colleagues to participate in the campaign now that you've been doing it for some time?
I've learned to keep them in the loop all year round. Anything that's happening at the United Way, and Francis is always, we're always getting little emails, little things that are coming up, special events that we can attend. Any email I get, it's forwarded to all staff right away. Don't forget, this is what's happening this month. Prior to COVID, I think one of the last things we attended was for the period promise, and it was being held at a restaurant. I said, well, why don't a couple of you come with me? We'll have dinner and we'll bring our donations that we want to make to the period promise, just,
Mhm.
as a smaller agency. So the impact that makes when people can go out to these events is amazing. So I always keep them in the loop about the events. Um, I make sure to forward the emails, what's going on, and see where can we attend? Where can we attend? And if we can't attend maybe a specific thing, where can we go out and volunteer and what can we do to make more money to give to the United Way?
Right. Okay. I like that. Really keeping everyone in the loop.
It's
Sounds,
huge. It's huge because you can't just start talking about the payroll campaign as it comes up.
right.
You
It's not a
keep
once a year
and
thing. It's an all year thing.
no, and also to see what you've accomplished, like the golf tournaments, oh, look how much they made at that golf tournament. Wow, it's
Mhm.
just and I think people are more receptive to you when you start saying, okay, it's coming that time now that we have to make our donations,
Right.
you
Okay.
know.
Are there any particular strategies or anything that you've found to be most effective to engage a colleague who might be initially hesitant to participate in the campaign?
Well, I believe it's very important to start talking to new employees immediately. And I'm usually the one that trains the new people as they come in the door.
Mhm.
So one of the things I do talk about is we have been supporting the United Way for a very long time. And, that will be something that you will be involved in as a team member that we hope to get 100% participation. Um, for those that are hesitant, I always let them know that any amount will help.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be a huge amount. It doesn't have to be in every pay if you don't choose to do that. You can make a one-time donation, cash, credit card, or one payroll deduction.
Yeah.
Um, I tell them of my years with the United Way and how we have always strived to hit that 100% participation. Sometimes, again, people think they have to outlay a huge amount of funds. And then I say, you know what? We get paid every 2 weeks. What if you did $1 off, off every payroll?
Mhm.
So and even $2, like, it's like $52 a year.
Right.
If you would be willing to do $50 on your credit card, go a couple dollars more and just do it on the payroll, and then everybody's on the payroll and deduction system, So that, I think, really brings it to clear. I think they have to give millions of dollars. You give what you can, and I think we can all afford to give something
Mhm.
to when you see the programs that are run in our communities that are funded by the United Way, that's where your money's going, you know?
Right. So you have a lot of like personal one-on-one connection with each employee.
Absolutely.
Do you um, Can you think of any strategy that might be helpful in this regard for like a large organization that might not necessarily have that one-on-one with a new
I don't
employee?
know. We've done it at staff meetings as well.
Mhm.
So even if it was over Zoom, which it was during COVID, but we normally try and have a staff meeting. It's usually every 6 weeks, roughly, sometimes once a month, where all three offices come together. And now it's all in person. So we normally, just again, before that campaign's going to start, I bring the pledge forms with me. We go around, talk. I've had your staff come out and talk to people where we've done a little event about it. And played a game.
Mhm.
This is what happens when you give. And, how much does shelter cost in a month, for people? So it makes a huge impact when people can see that. So if you can't do one-on-one, I would absolutely say do a staff meeting and make that part of the key part of that meeting.
Okay. So do you try to build relationships with your colleagues to sustain their support over time for the campaign? And how do you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I found I'm like Faith needed me, I need a second person as well. With us having 3 offices, like Smithville is quite small, but you still have Grimsby and Beamsville. I'm here all the time in Beamsville, so they hear me talking about everything all the time. But I find having that second person who's just as passionate, or sometimes they say, "Pat, I can't talk like you." I said, "Just talk like you. You don't have to talk like me. Just talk like you and why you give."
Mhm.
So again, you need a coworker who's going to be outgoing and not too afraid to talk. I'm never afraid to ask. I'm never, because what's the worst they're going to say is no.
Right.
So that's the worst you're going to hear. And hopefully you're not going to hear that or you're going to find a way around that, right?
Mhm.
I like to tell them stories about the people I've met along the way in the United Way and in events that I've attended. Um, I have one good story that I have to talk about, and that is a campaign chair that I met and how they were blown away with how much the United Way actually does and gives and the programs that they support. I also talk about our Helping Hands meetings, where we just talked about that a bit earlier,
Right.
where we meet usually every 6 weeks here in the Beamsville office, and it's a group of agencies from all around our areas that come to talk about their what they do and what's coming up, events, and then it's fun. It's hosted by the United Way, so that's very helpful that you have a huge part in that,
Mhm.
in keeping us getting all together. Um, I talk about not only the payroll campaign, but the donations we receive from the United Way that assist our clients in our communities. So we've got those hygiene kits. Without you, we wouldn't have those. We also have the take home kits. Without you, we wouldn't have those. The period products to be able to give those out and to keep those in our bathrooms for clients that are coming in. Those are may seem little. It's not little. When you're giving to
Mhm.
the size of the communities you're giving to, it's amazing. It's amazing to have that because without those as a not-for-profit, we wouldn't be able to give those out.
Mhm. And they really do make a difference to bridge
Huge.
that gap and give those clients
Yeah,
little extra financial breathing room.
that's it. And there's just so much more that you like the backpacks for kids. It's just that there's no end and you are coming up with new things all the time.
Mhm.
So your money goes to many different areas.
Wonderful. Can you share an example of a challenge that you faced during a campaign and how you overcame it?
I think during and after COVID was a hard time for everyone. We had staff that had left due to the stress of working remotely.
Mhm.
Um, on and off. It was a challenge to get everyone involved and excited about the campaign. I think they were just all focused on everybody's sick or they're not sick or I can't stand working from home with my kids in the house trying to do school, so it was hard. I just kept talking to everyone individually. Again, call them. If you can't see them, call them individually. Um, and letting them know how lucky are we that we're not all in need of food or housing during this time,
Mhm.
especially going through that. It was the first year I actually put money in for someone that wouldn't give, just couldn't give. Not wouldn't. To get my 100%. If I can give more, I will give more. And it was, I just put it in that person's name because that person was our staff member and was just going through a very difficult time. And I always, again, say every little bit counts. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. And getting 100% makes us all a really good team, a very supportive team for those in need in our
Mhm.
communities.
I think you've kind of touched on this, but I wondered if you had another example or anything that you wanted to say further about the role that United Way plays in addressing the needs of the community and any impact that you've seen firsthand.
So I feel the United Way creates solutions, building stronger communities, improving education, strengthening financial stability, and makes our communities healthier. They connect people locally with causes that they care about through the United Way. By helping people achieve their financial independence and stability, they can then move out from that poverty. Programs like Being All That Kids Can Be, from poverty to prosperity. And I love the new pop up markets. We're so excited that they have that up at Niagara West Adult Learning Center now in April. Um, I think the biggest impact really that had me like in tears, I had a campaign chair, I mentioned him earlier. Um, when he was campaign chair, and he was giving his speech at the end of the campaign, he also said he could not believe how much the United Way does, and he had no idea about it. And it was so humbling for him. I wasn't the only one with tears, believe me, when he finished. He went on to support an area in St. Catharines that was in high need for, you know, danger in the area.
Mhm.
He supported a new kids after school program, gave kids a place that was safe to go to after school and play instead of being on the streets where havoc was happening.
Mhm.
He also had a snack program that they could have snacks when they came there. And when it was a Friday and they were there, they made sure that there was snacks in those backpacks and fresh fruit so those children wouldn't go hungry over the weekend. I think that was huge to see this big burly man who ran a very successful business and still supports this United Way in a huge
Mhm.
way. To see him so humbled, wow, it was
It's really
very
moving and
impactful. Yeah,
emotional.
very.
It's great. That's really nice to hear that the impact that that story had on you and
And
that.
I can only that's only me. Can you imagine the amount of people that attend that event? It was like it's amazing what people can do when they can give.
Pat, you kind of alluded to at the beginning that you're preparing to retire.
Yes.
For everyone here on the call, everyone here is running a campaign at their workplace. What advice would you give to your successor to ensure continued success in achieving your goal, 100% participation for yourself? But
I
just
have talked to her a little bit about it, I just say, speak from your heart. We don't work in this environment because we're not caring. We are
right,
caring people. We are kind people. We like to give back, if you can, you should. That that's the biggest thing. Again, learn some stories. I'm giving her my stories. That was just one, Um, there's a lot of stories that I can go back with over the years from the impact United Way has made on us as an agency. We've been funded for many programs by the
right.
United Way. I tell her, just talk, and she's a very open and kind and welcoming person. So she is going to talk. She's only new, and she already comes up and sits and talks at a part of the day. She's the type of person who comes up and tells me, you need to walk away from your computer sometimes, give your eyes a rest. She's very caring already. She brings in
Mhm,
food for people. She's just going to be wonderful. But I tell her, talk from your heart why you want to give and make them want to give for that reason because you're making them feel that way.
right.
Um, Go over the pledge forms yourself before you start giving them out or before you have that meeting. Read the pledge forms so you can see they can give to what area they want to give in or choose what program they want to support. That's huge when people see that. Um, Bring some ideas forward on how you plan to run your campaign. Think yourself, talk to other coworkers. Call me. I'm here till at least the end of September. Call me. Uh, I'm happy to come up with some different things. We once did a huge barbecue outside in our parking lot and had one of our coworkers play his guitar so that we could draw people in so that money could be donated to the United Way. So there are different ways you can.
Mhm,
Time I know is hard for people to find time to do things, but you're doing this, it's a workplace event. You're doing this when you're at work. Some of the events we attend are after work or during work. Attend them. Like it's not much of your time to
mhm,
go out and attend an event. Um, Again, mention that they have the choice of donating once or weekly. Um, you know, Make sure that you let them know about the payroll deductions and that they start coming off in that fiscal year starting in January.
mhm,
Because some people think, oh, I got to do this right away. No, you don't have to do it right away. Get an early start on it so we can get it to the United Way so they have it all organized by the time it needs to come off, you know, and encourage staff to come and talk to you if they're hesitant,
mhm.
you know, to come and talk. And like I say, we had new staff this year and two of our new staff gave so hugely. It like my heart was just swelled with gratefulness
Mhm.
because you took time to talk to them. And one of them just said, you know what, I was at a place where I needed help. And now I'm so happy I'm able to give. Right?
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Hmm.
Have that experience or
Yeah.
seen someone in that experience.
Yes.
Certainly,
Yeah.
that's very powerful.
And I think if we all look back on our lives, there's probably been a time where, you maybe couldn't buy something or you couldn't go somewhere or couldn't do something. I remember as a young mom and there's three other friends, we were all the same age and we would knock on doors. It's not done anymore. Do you have any sugar? Yeah, I got sugar. Do you want tea bags? Or do you have tea bags? Something as simple as that you couldn't at that time maybe go and get.
Mm.
You weren't going to. suffered dearly from not having some sugar, but you just think of it that way. If you think of the community that where I was growing up as a young mom, back then people did know your neighbors quite well, and you did knock on doors and ask. You weren't afraid to. Now, it seems, I know everybody works now, moms and dads, everybody. But you just think back that there's a time in your life that you might have needed help from someone, somewhere.
Yeah.
United Way is always there in every way possible.
Yeah, that's an amazing message to end our interview with, I think, Pat. I'm so grateful for you to come here and share the
Or
message with us today. It's been wonderful
thank you.
speaking with you. Yeah.
And
So
when I retire, I'll be your volunteer. I'll be coming,
we look
helping
forward
out.
to that time.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and reshare my screen and um, open up the floor for any questions. If anyone has anything that I'm hoping that I can find my screen. Here we are. Here we are. Yes. So I don't know if there has been any questions so far, or if anyone has anything that they've thought of since we started our talk. But now's a great time for you to let us know. Chelsea, there's nothing in the chat at this point.
Nothing in the chat at this point. I think we're all digesting. Thank you, Pat, for sharing. Think what I've gotten the most out of this is impact, and telling your own
Absolutely.
truth with people and inviting them to be a part of something quite bigger than what any of us could do as an individual.
Exactly. And it doesn't take much, right? That's what I said. It doesn't take much to help make that a huge impact when we all give.
Right. I always say whatever is meaningful to you is going to be meaningful to someone else.
That's wonderful.
Well, with there being no questions, once again, Pat, just thank you so very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your perspective, your enthusiasm. It's very contagious, and just
Thank you.
so thankful for you to come and join us today. And when I proposed this, you jumped right on board. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking. Like I say, I will continue to support the United Way no matter where I am. The biggest impact in all of our communities. Think of the size of the United Way in all our communities that benefit.
Right.
And please feel free to reach out anytime for anything. And if you have new campaign people that want to reach out to me, please feel free to give them my name and number.
Okay, thank you so much, Pat. We'll keep
Welcome.
that in mind for sure. So just moving on, we just have a couple of events that we wanted to just share some information about that are coming up. So May 28th at 7 p.m., there will be a free screening of the movie Uncharitable at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre Film House. That's in coordination between the Niagara Community Foundation and United Way. So this movie, it shares personal stories of several prominent figures in philanthropy who are delivering an emotional journey that really moves, persuades, and inspires its audience to change the way they think about giving and to consider how much we're willing to invest to make that positive change for the world. So please, if you're available, consider hopping over to the Filmhouse website and picking up a free ticket for that. Also on June 6th, we are planning special Garden Day of Caring just for our campaign ambassadors. So we're going to have some time between around 1:30 to 4 p.m. where you can pop in, you can see the garden, see what's going on, get a little tour, and then if you'd like to as well, you can roll up your sleeves and do some volunteering work at the garden. So keep that on your radar. And then coming into our campaign, we do have our fire truck pull scheduled for September 10th. So that's going to be kicking off our campaign this year. It's going to be once again at the Seymour Hanna Sports Complex. If you haven't done it before, it's a lot of fun. Get your team together and pull a truck, a huge fire truck. It's very humbling. So keep that on your radar. And if you'd like to add that to your campaign kickoff, like please join in. And then also stay tuned. We will have our regular campaign ambassador training to be scheduled in the future. I have been sending out, and all of our staff have been sending out a link to our feedback survey to get some feedback on the 2023 campaign. So if you haven't had a chance to provide that feedback, please you can scan it here or take a look at your emails and open up the survey and let us know what was working well for you, what we can change for this campaign coming up, just so you have everything that you need to be successful. And that pretty much brings us to the end. I want to thank everyone. Thank you so much for all the work that you do to support United Way, to run your campaigns at your workplaces. Really, it's, as Pat was saying, it's all of us together who are making a difference for people in the community. It's not one individual who's doing it on their own. It's all of us together. So thank you so very much for being a part of that and making that important to you, because it's important to a lot of families in the community. So that's all. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day.